Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
Hey, Jeremy.
Whoa, that echo is crazy. Sounds like something out of Signs. How are you, Melanie? See, it's
Doing
the same.
okay. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm a little bit just exhausted, but
I know.
I won't have to deal with that here shortly.
I know. I was thinking
But
about that. Like, this is like your last Friday from where you're sitting.
yep, this is my last Friday. I told them I'll be done on Monday. And I did Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like 12 hours plus every day. So I am definitely wiped. I did not get home early enough to take a nap today. So, but that's part of the vitriol is coming here and doing this when I'm tired, which,
Can you, how about tomorrow? Can you like just like sleep and just,
I can sleep it. I can sleep in late tomorrow, but
okay.
I do have some obligations that I have to I got to go over to a friend's house, have dinner, take care of just arranging for some passive income things while I'm going. Like the company I used to work for making CBD gummies, I have some customers that still want to continue getting those. And like, I'm not going to be here to, handle it in person, but I'm trying to set up a way that I can do that and still make a little bit of money on the road.
Okay. And
So
whatever you need, like if you need some kind of a backup, remember, just ask and I can send, you know what I mean? Seriously.
I know.
And I'll just like get it down to that. Just you're the boss.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. James D, as always.
So good to be here. I'm sorry this has been a week.
Has it? I really want to know about that. Honestly, I'm very interested to hear about that. I got a couple minutes, so if you want to talk about it before, you're welcome to.
Well, literally today was the first day, and I can't even remember when I literally sobbed. I was sitting outside on my front porch, and I've been redoing my basement, doing an Airbnb on one side and an art studio on the other. It was supposed to be 2 weeks and 10 grand. And I'm now on week 10 and at 22,000. And, it's like I just had to tell them, guys, dude, I'm going to have to take it from here. I'm done, and then my best friend since high school, her mother died of COVID 6 weeks ago. One of her brothers died of it 4 weeks ago. And then another brother died of cancer he had been struggling with for 2 years on Tuesday. And one of my best friends is in the hospital right now. They think he has lung cancer. And it's like,
yeah.
And it's like today I cried, and I cried when I left a voicemail message for my girlfriend. She didn't answer the phone, which I wouldn't have either if I were her. And the little piddly shit about not getting your drywall done and primer on and whatnot seems just so minute comparatively. And it just literally, it made me sob and feel like I haven't felt in a long time. And it could be because it's been a week since I've taken Lexapro.
I knew it. And you're still here with us. I love it. Like, thank you. Yeah, that's beautiful. Honestly, that when it rains, it pours, right? And the little things are what we fixate on, right? Like the little projects we have, like, are what we fixate on. Because I know for me, at least, like, especially when my mom, left us, she, I would just avoid that like the plague, like, because that would be an all day just sobbing. Like, I feel like to
Right.
Which maybe I needed to do, but the little things is what I'd get caught up on and get really really emotional over, because I was like, all right, this is a small enough thing, I can handle that. Like, I can definitely tackle this one. But that's
well, what's actually I felt so good on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I felt like it was because I could literally feel, I don't know, I think it was Amy that said that felt like she was dried up. I literally felt like hydrated. And it also is because to help.
I'm sorry to mute you, Rebecca. Not really sorry, because it's the beginning of the dojo. Welcome, you guys. Thank you all for joining me here on a Friday night. I'd love to hear more about what you've gone through this week at some point this evening, but as usual, I will light a ceremonial fire with you all as we bring in the end of this week. Well, not the end, but the start of the weekend, which I am looking forward to. Just a few minor pointers here as we come into the dojo. There is no opponent in the dojo. At least there's not a person that's your opponent in the dojo. The opponent is your reaction to the vitriol. I really identify with that. I've tried to take that very, to heart. And I honestly, I do see quite a few people that, no offense to them, and I won't, some of them aren't here, so I'm not going to bring it up. I try to make sure they're here for it. But where they take things as attacks and they're not being attacked, they're being communicated to on a different wavelength than theirs. And so I can understand where the perception there, like all is perception. So, but other than that, just want to go into some basics. I really liked what Nicholas's dojo this week. If I get half the excretions that Nicholas got this week, I mean, I'd be happy as a lark. That was beautiful what Amy and Dee let us all witness. I really think that this is as good a place as any for it. And I really liked there also later on when people were talking about that you can pull yourself onto the mat and take yourself off. And I've had a little bit of a change of heart on that. At some point in the past, I think I was pretty clear when I was like, you know what, you're here in the dojo, so if you bring something up, you're on the mat about it. Which I still believe. But I also still believe in your ability to pull yourself off the mat in a respectful way that's not abandoning us by leaving early. You can simply say, I don't want to discuss this anymore. Or I have a lot to think on. I have a lot to chew on. Like, there's so many graceful ways of bowing out. If you feel like, the vitriol is going to push you to the point of it no longer being creative or constructive and being destructive instead. And not to say destruction's bad, because I know right, there's parts of me that I need to destruct. I've talked about those in some of my opening dojos. I think that those are some of our best work that we do, is getting rid of those things. And really, they're the toughest things I faced. I know for me, that's, starting a new skill. Like when I first started like a new diet, like I never dieted until I was 27. I started a keto diet and lost 80 pounds in, 4.5, 5 months. And like, starting new habits, not hard, not challenging for me, like at all. I know some other people may find, be different on that, but for me, it's the old habits that die hard, and getting rid of those. And I just want to kind of also go through real quickly the belts, and how white is ignorance, yellow is fear, red is anger, blue is will, and green is compassion. I skipped one. That's my best one. I don't ever tend to think of it. And black is resurrection, which I'm still looking forward to fully defining that like Michael was. And we all use these belts. It's not an ascension program. We're not just one belt. We all use these belts in differing degrees all the time. And really what we're here to do is perfect our form in those belts, and maybe even some undiscovered belts that we might not be aware of. I think that I know that there's plenty of things you guys have gone through this week. If my week was any indicator, which it usually is, there's plenty of things that you all have to bring to the mat to discuss with us and to get some witness on. And that's another thing that we're here for, is witness. I think that I know, and I hate this dichotomy between, thinking things, believing things, knowing things. That is something I know, is that you guys have some things that you want to work on that you can bring to the table, and I'm calling for you to raise hands. You can find that in reactions. You can find that in more on certain older systems or on smartphones if you're using a smartphone. And I think that really that's the most valuable thing we have here, is having 40 people. You know you've got eyes on you, and you may not be totally cognizant of it in the moment when you speak, that you have, 40 people or however many people viewing you. Like there's about 30 here today, and you might not be fully cognizant of it, but in just the fact that it takes a lot of energy to raise a hand and speak up, that in and of itself shows you how powerful that witness is. Because if you were sitting there to yourself, you could say it no problem, even with a close friend, one or two people, a few, 5 people in a room. As you go up, we all know that it gets more expensive. We've all been there at a party, and to command a room of 30 people is that's good vitriol, no matter who you are, no matter how good a public speaker you are. And I really appreciate the chance you all give me to work on this, because I've always been really good with words, but it's a whole different story when it would come to large groups of people. I was never the type that would be a social butterfly and stand in front of a large group of people and bring the kind of things up that you guys have so graciously and so lovingly and supportingly brought, given to me when I've brought up things that are very difficult for me and are embarrassing to talk about or difficult to talk about. And that's another kind of foul that I really want to hit home and make clear to you all, is that if you want to bring something up and it's hard to talk about, you need to bring it up. That's a foul. You're stealing from the dojo. And I will be one to tell you that I've stolen from the dojo. I sat on things with the mat discussion. I sat on things with the Dogmar debacle that happened, and I didn't speak up, and I was stealing from the dojo. I was, and it's just showing my value of your witness that I bring them up, even if it's late to the party sometimes. But I really just want to encourage you all, and I'm really looking forward to getting to see you, Brent, coming up on the 20th, man. I just, it's going to be a whole new adventure, a whole new age, if you might say that, that we're walking into here. And I just can't wait. I'm really looking forward to the fact that I should be able to stream or host a dojo from the fire with you all on Friday. That should be the fire that we're all going to have together. I think that's not a new moon. I think the new moon is right now, if I'm not mistaken, or in the next couple of days here, right? Tomorrow, yeah. Sorry, been so entangled in my Babylonian job that I haven't, that's a shame for me to admit this, but I haven't been paying attention to the heavens, to the vaulted dome. And I'm just looking forward to a time where I'm not going to have to worry about that. I'm going to be able to pay attention to that every day, and really get to learn it, get to know it, and not just get to know it, but get to feel it, get to be present in it, because that's something we've lost. I think that's a big part of our culture's lack, our evacuation. We don't observe anything anymore. Something could be right in front of our face and we don't see it. But I'm really gonna lean on you guys this evening. I don't have anything really like that's been tugging at my heartstrings as much this week, because I've just been so preoccupied with getting ready for this move. And I will say though, as a quick update, which I thank you for your encouragement, Lynette, about like the Steiner stuff and my dream and all that. Every single night this week, I have had like bizarro but highly symbolic dreams. And I think I'm onto something here. I'm going to keep doing the little routine, the ritual I have before bed, and keep up with that, because I really only see it taking me further and further on this amazing journey. Not just with myself, but with all of you. Though really, each of us, it's an individual journey. But thank you, Brent, for raising your hand, man. Go ahead and take the floor.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yes, I just wanted to get the crowd reaction rolling. I don't really have anything personal to bring to the mat, but I like you talking about the moon phases. So I just wanted to say, tomorrow being the first of the new moon, traditionally we have here on Clontesca just use that first quarter of the new moon for usually a weekend date or something that falls on it for our celebrations. So this this was a little bit of a juggle for me as a host, because one weekend was the new moon, the second weekend was the equinox event. So what we're doing is on Friday night will be our new moon ceremony. It'll still be the last day of the first quarter. It'll still be the waxing moon. And it also, the presentation is very much like we did for our solstice, is that not only is it the new moon, it's also the last day of winter, or if you like, the last day of the first quarter of the year. So that moon will have that celebration that night will have a theme of saying goodbye to winter, doing our traditional new moon ceremonial participation. And then in the morning, I see Matt's here, a Drunkyard Dog. He will be our fire tender again this weekend. And we're going to do the same, which was so marvelous, event at sunrise the next morning. And Matt will rekindle the fire from the embers of the last day of winter, the night before, into the new first day of spring fire, of which I'm going to try to make sure Matt has enough firewood to keep burning right through the day, and we'll just have a nice day-long celebration, more of a flojo flare, I anticipate, for the rest of the day on Saturday. So yes, we are doing a new moon fire, but it's just late in the first quarter. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. And thanks, Jeremy. I'm so glad you're excited. I think you're at least or above the level of excitement that I'm having too. So yeah, there's more and more people showing up. It's going to be epic. Thank you. Turn the talking stick back to you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. And yeah, I'm so excited because for me, this is, anybody that hasn't been to one of the fires, if you can't get to one, do something yourself. Create that ritual, create that pulse, that beat, that heartbeat of life, that ego beat, that energy beat. Create that, please, and join us, because if you think the dojo is great, like I love this space. I know you all love this space. I can't put into words what it's like to go to a fire with 10, 20, 30, more people like this together, all sharing a ritual together. It just, words do not describe it. And thank you, Brent. For me, it's a beginning of an amazing journey. I'm still young. I have the time. I've built myself a little, if I was older, I'd call it a nest egg, but it's not it's not a nest egg. I've just built myself up a cushion that will allow me to build a home, build not just a home, but a village, a tribe with Nicholas and Will. And I want to send good vibes and just, thoughts of protection and to their journey. He just sent me a picture of the U-Haul trailer that he just picked up for his truck so he can haul his ass across the country to come pick me up to be there for that new moon fire and the solstice, or I'm sorry, equinox, right? But yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. I just can't say enough, but thank you guys. I appreciate you listening to us about this, but really just want to encourage you all, even if you can't go and try to start a homestead life like me, like I'm not trying to, make it where, oh, you all have to leave Babylon. I just feel called to do that. I felt called to do that for the last 3 years of my life. And, that's one of the reasons I brought up last week and got a little vitriol for it from James about, that I still have respect for Owen Benjamin and for what he did. And it might not be for him, the person, and some of the things he says. But he's the one that started me on that journey to wanting a homestead, and wanting to reconnect with nature. And I found people that are much more in my line with that since then, but still, I got to give credit where credit is due. But thank you guys. Debbie, go ahead, take the talking stick.
That sounds amazing. And I live in Nevada, so we'll be fairly close. considering. It really sounds beautiful. Okay, so if anybody else has anything about that subject, I'm gonna flash back to your dream last week. Okay, so I was asking myself, I don't know why, but it passed through my mind. Why was I thinking of that whale as being a phallic symbol? The whale that you spoke of. And I think it was Eric with a K said something about sperm whale. And I'm like, yeah, that works. And then somewhere in the middle of the week, for no reason, it just went through my head, Moby Dick. And you know how the spout.
Yeah, no, and I saw that in
Just
the dream. That spout
my
was,
revelation of the
yeah.
week.
Oh,
All right.
no, thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, and honestly, I could use that laugh. Like, it's been a pretty dry week working as much as I have, and but yeah, in that dream, there was a spout coming out of the top, and it wasn't like water. It was more, I don't know how to put it. Like I said, the whole thing looked celestial or astral, like it was made of stars. Other than the dark green body of it, but thank you. I appreciate your witness and your input on that. And I do have to say sometimes I've said some things in the past about like, I really honestly want people's critiques. And I value those a lot, but I also really want to say I value you guys' support, especially you ladies. I really do. I just can't express it enough. The balance between those two things is just I feel like I'm critique light, you know what I mean? Like I don't get as much as I'd want. Maybe that's just something with me where, I'm not like James has a problem with sometimes. I have a problem with um accepting compliments a lot of the time, or accepting positive you know thoughts of my behavior. I tend to shirk them off and just like, oh, it's not a big deal, when sometimes it is, and it costs me a lot of energy to do it. I think there's something innately male about that, to me. But Drunk Yard Dog, my friend, looking forward to you as the fire tender. Take the talking stick. I have the honors of passing it to you this time, but next time it will be you.
Thank you, Jeremy. The reason I raised my hand has a lot to do with what you were just saying right there, getting feedback from other people. During every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., I have a Zoom call meeting about business with other entrepreneurial people, right? And it's a pretty novice level group. I wish it were a little more advanced and, we got into some really, better ideas and things. But at the end of the day, there's maybe 20 people that attend every day. And it's just regular people. And this morning, somebody told me they wanted to witness me more. Now, they didn't use those words, obviously, because they're not, in the dojo, but they were like, I would watch a TV show with you in it. Right. And I was like, hey, made me feel real good. And then right after that, the host of the group, once a week, he'll put the Zoom call on his YouTube channel. And he was telling me that a lot of the comments are like, you should let the Drunk Yard Dog talk more and all this stuff, right? Because I bring a lot of the ideas that we discuss here to that call, because it gets super boring sometimes. It's just like, oh, all these just entry level people with their minor problems, right? And I'm like, God damn, just figure it out, you guys. Shit, But instead of getting frustrated, I just wait, and then when I have something cool to say, I say something really cool, And like the other day, I was talking about you have to create your own life instead of having your life given to you, and that kind of thing. So it was just really awesome to have that feedback this morning from multiple people about I'm glad to that you're here. That's basically what they were telling me, and like they want to hear more from me, and like it was just a really cool thing to hear, and it was awesome feedback because I try to be really, really laid back, and I try to bring a really awesome just common sense kind of mentality to it. And because people often get worked up when it comes to business, you know, they're like, oh, I'm so worried about this and that, you know, and I'm like, just, you know, it's all right, just, you know, get it, you know, establish practices and procedures in your life that allow you to kind of do what you need to do and feel good about it at the same time instead of trying to force something. That's just, yeah, I've already said what I wanted to say. If I kept talking, I'd be going in circles. So
Thank you, Junkyard Dog. I appreciate that, and I liked your little loop there because I was gonna step in for a second when you were like, "Oh, it's just entry level people with their, you know, basic problems," but you're like, "No, you know, just figure it out," and I don't get frustrated, and I, you know, let them, and I come in with something, you know, innovative to say when the time is right, like because they're still flowers. They may be pretty basic, like dandelions, but they're flowers. Like that's yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. I appreciate that, and that's cool to hear that you do that. That's
hmm.
I
And
bet you they value that a lot, and I would watch a YouTube channel of you doing something or a movie of your life. I definitely would.
yeah, this morning I was getting a little bit animated about something. I was like, I got big ideas for this, man. I could see it going really far, you know. It's you know, it's just you know, naturally that makes people kind of want to look at you when you're being animated. But yeah,
Yeah,
and I also had the same thing with the flowers thing. It's like all of these people are trying to make their lives better at the end of the day. So why shit on that dream? You know what I mean?
no, that's perfect. Honestly, I think that the world could use a lot of the people in this dojo doing that. Like I love the homeschool idea. You know, I intend to be much more involved in posting things to the Dojo Earth Homestead group as I go and start this journey. You know, moving with Nicholas and Will, and trying to encourage people, and maybe just, you know, learning myself how to establish his procedures and practices on a homestead that both feed me and feed the earth and feed others. I really, I feel called to do that. I think that there's going to be a huge, um, you know, necessity to that in the future. There already is a huge necessity to that because we all understand how these things don't work or function properly in our life. So I don't need to go into all that. You guys are all already going through that journey. I'm pretty sure if you're here. Um, but yeah, thank you. And I think not just Drunk Yard Dog here, but there's a lot of you other people here. Yes, I'm looking at you. If this feels like I'm looking at you, you need to produce some content or maybe get involved with your community and you know, bring some of the, because honestly, from what Drunk Yard Dog said, I've noticed that too. In my work, and I, you know, work at a big corporation, I can talk to people about this stuff, and honestly, there's a few people that, and you can tell they're the people that watch CNN every day, or you know, that watch, you know, Fox News every day, or really invested in Babylon in one way, shape, or form or another, that will not hear any of it. They don't want it. They don't care. They just shut down, and that's that. But there's a lot of people, I'd say honestly, anywhere between 30 and 50% that I could talk about this stuff, and they're all like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, never thought, because they just don't have people that, like, they don't have people that talk about this stuff. Like, that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to move with Nicholas and Will and be participating in this community, because I've got one person, I got my nephew. That's the only person I can talk about this stuff with. That's in my immediate family that will be anywhere near on the same wavelength as me, and which is, I think, why we all value this space. But thank you all. Rebecca, love to hear what you have to say. Go ahead and take the floor.
Well, to build on, you know, your comment about being open and vulnerable. And as I said, I don't know if it was originally or in a later call, that it truly made me think about um, an awakening and what was, you know, actually creativity is the same thing in just any kind of sort. I believe the more confident you are in anything, the better you do it. You know, whether it's public speaking or whether it's cooking or making a painting or sex or anything, you know, the confidence is what makes you feel really good about it. And it was Ava actually who made the comparison or the analogy about the Lexapro for me. And, the next day I just, shut it off completely. And it was crazy how soon. 3 days, literally, all I wanted to do was do. And so, because I had a bunch of construction workers in my basement, I was like, teach me how to drywall. And I drywalled for 2 days. And I have not been that happy. Those evenings, I was like, oh my God, I accomplished something tangible. I wasn't just thinking all the time. I wasn't, trying to build a business, and I was just doing what felt great. And in our conversation, I had a bit of an issue when James True got on regarding the depression is the same thing as racism. Calling yourself a depressed is the same thing. And I thought about it, and I almost called him. I mean, we've known each other for over 20 years, and we've never had any kind of a disagreement. And I'm not sure exactly why I got offended by that. And even afterwards, I haven't quite understood what he meant regarding that, but that's okay. It's okay that I don't understand his thinking. But I just want to tell you that I've been so busy since that call, and every day Dojo is on my calendar. I missed my physical for the third time today because I've been so busy to do anything, so this is very important to me, and it's meaningful. And I really kind of feel like for the first time, I naturally feel frisky, even in 3-4 days, you know what I mean? It's like weird. And I cannot wait to get a blank canvas in front of me. I feel like the need to create, and it just feels good. I mean, it wouldn't have come from anywhere else than you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. It came from you. We were just a helping hand. But yeah, I know what you mean. I feel the same about my journey that I'm going to be taking, where I had it in me the whole time. I could have done it here. It might have taken me longer, different circumstances, yada yada. But in the end, it came from me. But this group is the only reason I found the people I'm going to move with and have this amazing opportunity. So I feel that, and I'm really glad to hear you. I've thought about you like literally every day this week, where I'm like, I'm sending you good vibrations.
Well, I felt the good vibes, and I didn't feel guilty for not showing up. And I literally like clocked in and was able to do it for 15 minutes and clocked out. And I was like, oh, I feel so bad. And I didn't explain myself. And I hope that that's okay with this group, that I can do that.
It is. And if you're not okay with that, get the fuck out. I'm not joking. Like, I know it's funny, but seriously, if you're not okay with that, people don't have to be here. Like, if you want to, if you're going to step on the mat, please stay here for the entirety of this, hour and a half. You can stay after. Don't come in late and like drop a bombshell on us. Like, those are other, fouls, which, depending on the circumstances, there are exceptions to every, it's not a rule, but every, foul we have. But I trusted that you were going to be fine. I knew, based on your testimony to me, that you had done that before. You were confident in it. And that's really what it was, is that, like you were speaking about, your confidence in it let me know that I really didn't have much to worry about. I did think of you and was like, I can spare this energy. I'm going to send her some, and do what I can with it. And I trusted that, you'll be all right. And if you weren't all right, that was still on you. And I'm not trying to say that what we say here has no consequences. It does. But in the end, we all make our own decisions. So thank you. I really appreciate that testimony you bring in.
Thank you. And thank you, Debbie, for all the love.
All right, appreciate that.
And you too, Jeremy.
Yeah, everybody here I know was
I know,
probably was looking to hear from you about that. And that's part of the vitriol that we deal with here in the dojo is sometimes things get brought up and they don't get addressed for a week, 2 weeks. They just don't get addressed. And if that really is vitriol to you, then bring it up,
Mhm.
talk about it. Like that's what we're here for. So if you have something that's really bugging you about that, yeah, that's because it's on you to bring it up. That's all I can give you, because you can't expect everyone else. You don't know what everyone else is thinking, what everyone else has that same vitriol. Some people might, but if they haven't brought it up until now, well, then obviously they're not going to. You should do it. But thank you. I appreciate it, Rebecca. And thank you, Amy, for what you and Dee did. I know I talked about that a little bit, but um, yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for being that trusting in our witness, to do what you did earlier this week. And I don't want to make whatever you're going to talk about this evening just about that, but I felt like I needed to say it because, as Rebecca was stating, I haven't been able to be here for the rest of the week's dojos because of my work schedule, for like 3 or 4 weeks now. And it hurt like every day when like 12:30 rolls around. I'm like, man, I really wish I could be here for that, but I just keep putting it off, and eventually, here in the next week, Monday is going to be my last day, so I'll be able to be here with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to that. But go ahead and take the floor, Amy.
Thanks, Jeremy. I first of all, thank you all. This is so powerful for all of us. That's like very basic understatement, but how beautifully the dojo went yesterday, and was just amazing. And yeah, I don't really want to go too far. There will be more later on that. But I just appreciate it. It's pretty kind of awful to have something like that happen in a way, but it's also real, and or whatever it is, vitriol for sure. Anyway, moving on from that, I wanted to hit on and I just want to thank you. I don't know if that's adequate, but just thanks, and I'm sure it'll be revisited. But yeah, touching on kind of what everybody has said, like tomorrow's the new moon in Pisces, and I'm, as far as like I wrote down, you start where you are. So like no matter where you learned about homesteading first or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like I've been preaching to grow food and to wussy to even like put the seeds in the dirt, and I'm finally this year like plant the beans. So I have like all these starts now, and it was just my own. It's not hard, but you have to start somewhere. You start where you are. And it's the new moon tomorrow. I'm gonna do an open house. I posted it on the I think Melanie might have posted it too on like the Dojo Earth Facebook. But I'm gonna do, I feel my face getting red. An open studio and like show and tell of kind of a preview of what I can do, what I want to be doing in some live streams. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it before I'm ready. I'm starting where I'm at. Like, I mean, I know what I'm doing, but it's going to be what it is. And so, yeah, I wanted to say that about starting new things. So that's why I wanted to start it tomorrow. I was like, okay. And then I'm going to do it on Tuesdays, I think. But seeds, open studio. Oh, and I was thinking like Jeremy too. What I thought of, I mean, the homeschool meeting today was just awesome. It was only the second one I went to, and it's just really, really inspiring me, getting me moving. I've taught art classes or just nannied a lot and done stuff outside of the public school system for a long time. So it's helping me, it ends up helping me do my work too. It's just that whole kind of open source Amy thing idea that I've had for a long time that fits into this. So I'm just like, yeah. And showing up is just like, what do they say? Showing up is whatever percent, like 80%. And like, and a lot of the perfectionism that is really just procrastination. So, or it can be, you know, so that, and the homeschool, you know, the footage that you guys could get as you're starting this stuff, you know, where you're at, you can.
Lost your mic, Amy.
Can't hear. I bear it.
Yeah, she froze up on me now.
Experienced
Oh, there she
back
is.
in the day. Did I go too many subjects?
No, we lost you there for like 10 seconds, maybe a little more.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to touch on the meds subject again really quick, and just how that's a journey. And I swore I'd never go on anything again, and I kind of I so appreciate what you brought, where you're like, you chose to. I mean, I was like, yeah, I did consent. And then I've thought about it more, and for me personally at that time, I actually did need to, in retrospect. And now going back to when I took it like 15 years ago, what I noticed that time is, after going off of it, thank God, I had formed new habits because I was kind of able to, and then they stuck with me after the meds were gone. I'm not saying that's how it has to be done, but that's one positive thing that I noticed. You know, I slowed down still working on that. But for me personally, I was having so many health problems, and it was just kind of like about the only thing I could do at that point. I won't go into what they are, but at that point, and I'm not happy with it, but
No, I actually,
I kind of just wanted to talk about that a little bit.
no, and I don't even know if you should say you're not happy with it, because if
Well,
they were a
I'm fine
positive
with
tool
it
for
now.
you,
That's the
yeah.
thing. Like, it's okay that I'm okay with it now. And what's great is that I'm not afraid for the future, when hopefully I think I will be able to do it. And that's just really important. I don't know if I lost you guys, but
No, you didn't lose
yeah.
me at all. No, that's actually spot on. I think that kind of wraps up kind of what the end of the conversation at the last dojo was, where we were kind of getting into that. And you know, it had been said that felt like we were demonizing it, and I had no intentions to demonize it. I just personally don't like them, and I'd be lying to you guys if I told you that I really thought that they were like this great force for good. Like, they can be. I'm not saying like that. Again, I've said over and over again, I don't like to speak in absolutes. I think, you know, absolute statements are the eminent domain of frauds and fools. And so I really think that they can be helpful, and they are greatly helpful in many situations in the exact way you described, and other ways where they can break a cycle for someone and allow them to build a new set of habits that are better for them, that do establish a better economy for their energy. And then going forward, you know, you could work off them. You could even stay on them if you find balance there. Like, you know, go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge that. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a journey for everybody to navigate. And I think there's so much shame that people carry when they take them, because they feel like you do, basically, like I have. I mean, it was like, you know, but yeah, and to have that conversation open in a safe-ish place. And I wanted to say one more thing to Charlotta too. I hope I said her name right. Hope I said your name right, Charlotta. Yeah, that you were more fuel for me too. Just like, I've been trying to do this, and it's like I'm hearing you, and I'm like, me too. And so, yeah, onward, new moon, seeds, all that stuff. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate your input here. And I also wanted to touch back on, because I forgot to say something about this. Rebecca, good on you for liking to do drywall. Holy hell. That's like, there were two things when I did property preservation I would not do. That's drywall and painting. I cannot stand doing that. And I'm like usually a pretty agreeable guy. Like I could do them if I had to, but I always got resentful when I did that. They're so tedious. And like I just yeah, mad respect for you that you're finding that place where you're finding happiness.
It's called
in doing.
fulfilling. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy what's fulfilling. You just never know until you try. And Amy, I wanted to say one thing to you about the shame thing. I feel like I didn't have any shame around being in depression or taking antidepressants. I just, I mean, I used to be a public speaker for a decade, and I would tell the audience of 500 people that I had depression, and it's because I wanted people to know that, it's everywhere and everybody can feel sad and down and whatnot, and whatever it takes to make you feel better. I just think that drywall is a better antidepressant than Lexapro.
And like you said last week about the Ambien, you could crumble up and like shape some drywall dust and give it to somebody. And not that I'm recommending you take that, because
Right.
that stuff is, well, it's mostly gypsum, so it's really not that bad. But regardless, yeah, it's just the act of doing, and that's kind of what I'm going on this journey for. Is I want to get my hands in the soil, my feet bare in the soil, and do the things that I've been wanting to do for so long, that like here on rented land, I can do 10 by 12, and that's all I can do. And I have to put up a fence, and I have to do, which I'm still going to put up a fence, don't get me wrong, but just to not have those regulations.
I have to say one more thing too that has made a difference, and I don't know if anybody's seen this, but there's a series that I found called Alone on Hulu. And it's where 10 survivalists get together and live off the fat of the land, but like to the extremes. And I thought about it and I said, the only people that I know who could do this in my sphere of, reality is you guys. But it's fascinating. And to me, it feels like not a challenge as much, but just to learn how to live off the fat of the land, as they say, and be alone and, grow through suffering, because suffering, one guy said, humility combats humiliation, right? So try anything and be humble about it, and you can't feel humiliated. Does that make sense?
It does, to an extent. I think that there's some truth there, and humility's never been a bad word for me. I think that being humble about things and then over delivering, well, that just gets you all the more prana in the end. But yeah, I think it's also dangerous to be overly humble. So, because then people won't know what your skill set is and won't understand what you're capable of, because not everyone can witness you 24/7. So there is a balance there. But thank you, Johnny. I really appreciate you being patient here. Had your hand up for a while. So go ahead, my friend, and take the floor. Glad to see you on video.
How's the audio? I'm driving, I don't know.
Yeah, that audio is pretty terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute you, buddy. That was like crackly death in my ear holes. So sorry about that. If you get to somewhere where you have better reception, feel free to bring up what you were going to bring. Go ahead, Noam.
So one thing I just wanted to mention when I was listening to Drunk Yard is I more and more I'm trying to visualize this kind of energy soup and scaffolding that we're sort of in. And I found it interesting, Drunk Yard, when you started describing your experience with that group, you started by describing kind of like the energy you were bringing to it, like the kind of approach that you were taking, sort of almost it felt like on an energetic level. And then afterward, you started to put some reasons to why the success was happening. like, oh, it's because of, some of these guys are boring, or it's because this or that. And I think while those things are true, more and more, I feel like the root is that energetic start that you brought. And it's going to express itself in those different ways. And I just find that really interesting. I don't know where that takes me, but that's what made me think when you were saying that. The other thing I wanted to mention, Jeremy, when you said at the beginning, for a while now, I've been hearing that list that Nicholas started reading back about the dojo files or the dojo theories and things like that. And one of them is that notion that not sharing something difficult is theft. And that bothered me pretty much from the moment he started reading that list, and other people have been saying it. And I think initially what bothered me is the way I was envisioning it was this notion that somehow the dojo had some right to personal information from me. And that's the only way it could be theft, is because it was something that sort of belonged to them for me to be able to steal it. And I didn't like that. And I think that's why I was reacting so strongly to that. But when I think about it as theft from myself, like I'm stealing from myself instead of for not bringing this thing, then yes, that I can go with that. That made me feel fine with it. So that's it.
Thank you, Antonio. Holy shit. I love you being here, man. Like, because it bugged me at first. And then I felt like, well, am I stealing from the dojo for not bringing up that this bugs me? and then I thought about it some more, and I basically came to the same conclusions you did, is that I wasn't really stealing from all of you, like, because there still are things that like are too difficult to share that I'm not going to share with you. They just be too expensive. Like maybe if I talk to one of you one-on-one or whatever, when I have enough electricity or whatever language you want to use, maybe then I'll bring it. But really, I think that was more to the heart of it right there, Noam, was that when you're not sharing things that are difficult in your life, you're costing yourself charge. You're costing yourself energy. You're costing yourself resolution. Not to say everything needs resolution, because like I said before, sometimes something gets brought up in the dojo and we never hear a fucking word about it again. And that's good for you to work on that and understand not everything has an ending all tied up in a fucking bow. Like you got to be okay with mystery. And I just love the way you enumerated or like worded that and put that all together. I also know that I'll probably get shit for this from Lorna, but like I also really appreciated when you spoke up to Drunk Yard Dog, because he was being a fucking dick. And honestly, I just want to tell you, Drunk Yard Dog, when I saw you do the little like after Gnome yelled at you, like you're shaking your fist, like, yeah, I got the reaction I wanted. I was like, we all know fucking Gnome's good at a goddamn red belt. You did not need to do that. Like that felt so fucking shitty to me. Like it rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie, but I still love you. And like just being like that bugged me. And I wanted to bring that up last week, but I didn't. I'm pretty sure that was from last week. Sorry, watching them in replays, it's hard to keep them all together. But like I said, starting next week, I'll be here with you guys most of the time, reception permitting. But speaking of reception permitting, Johnny, my friend, you got something for us now?
Yeah, let's try. Oh my God, that's bright. All right, I'm just pulled over. Is that better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm driving for 3 hours today. I love what you said about the fires. At our new place, we've had a couple of massive bonfires already. Invited the neighbors to one of them. Our kids love it when we do it, and we have a big backfield. We can have, 16-foot high flames. And I just, I don't know, something in me was like, they tell us to social distance, and we have to do the opposite. Basically, whatever they tell us to do, we do the opposite. So I was able to track down a friend of mine. This is one I used to party with back when I was into ecstasy and a few other pharmaceuticals of the illegal variety. And I haven't touched base with him in almost 10 years. And I found out he actually has 10 acres. He's married. He's got 2 children. It's amazing how he also went down that same route. He invited me over to his place. He's got 40 chickens, some ducks, 3 dogs. And it was so good talking to him about this. And he showed me his massive fire pit, and he showed me photos of the bonfires he used to have. So he wants to have a bonfire contest this summer and see who can have the biggest flames. And I don't want to be, I had more to say just about what this whole COVID bullshit that's going on. Like, there's so much good happening in the world. So I don't think the people running this are necessarily in it to kill us, if that makes any sense. Because my life has improved this year. Everything is going good. And I don't want to be pulled over too much longer, because he gave me a nice jar of weed that he grows in horse shit. So I don't want to, I don't want someone to pull me over wondering why I'm stopped at the side of the road. So I'm gonna let you go. Thanks.
Thank you, Johnny. Oh man, that's the kind of pissing contest I get behind. Who can have the biggest bonfire? Like, that's awesome. And yeah, horses and rabbits, man, they're a grower's best friend, best friends. Alpacas too, but horses and rabbits for sure. That's amazing, man. And I actually have a friend that I haven't talked to in a few years that I just touched base with last week, that he's not quite in the same boat where like he's about to go on this journey, but he's had a mental turnaround, and we were in the same kind of boat you were talking about. He was somebody that I used to get, illegal pharmaceuticals off of in my heyday when I was younger. And he's also married, has a child, has a house that's in suburbia, but he, because of this whole COVID thing, wants to get land out in the country. And so I think that you're spot on. And I think that's one of the things that really attracted me to like James's streams is that best apocalypse ever notion. I really think there's something to that. And it may all just be about perception, depending on the person. And we're all well aware that you can spend your whole life living in yellow belt, but that's just a life out of balance. But yeah, man, get home safe. I don't even need to tell you that, because you will. You're a smart fella. Debbie, go ahead, take the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what Antonio said. I totally agree with the with the stealing from the dojo comment there. There are things that I have done in my life that I don't know if I ever want to talk about them to anyone, to tell you the truth. And I don't consider it stealing, and I don't consider it leaking, because I feel like I have worked on them and chewed on them, and however you want to put it. I just agree with that comment. And yeah, it's between you and yourself. And it's great when people share their vitriol. It's really great, and it's helped me a lot. At this present time, I haven't had that many things happen that were very vitriol producing. By the end of the day, by the time I get here, they're all things that I deal with people at work and whatnot. And they're not freshly vitriolic by the time I get here. So a lot of times I won't mention them. But I just also want to say, I'm just being kind of roundabout here, but I want to say that it takes me a little time to process things sometimes. So I don't always know what my reaction is. But when Antonio said that, I was like, that's right. That's exactly how I felt. And maybe I'm not paying close enough attention, but you worded it perfectly. Yes, I feel that way.
Yeah, I think Antonio has a knack for that. He's done that a couple of times where I've been feeling something or thinking something, and he just blurts it out in just this wording that I could not put together. Like I could say it, but it wouldn't be as concise and to the point. And we've talked plenty about words don't always do it justice, but that was pretty damn close. And Thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate that, and I think that's an important other side to that. Stealing from the dojo thing that you brought up there is that there are things that not only is it just that you know it's too expensive to share it, but there are going to be things that they need to be your personal work. Like they need to be. And there are some things I feel that are so sacred that to share them would actually destroy the work. It would destroy the process. The transmutation wouldn't work because there are these pre-built, maybe not pre-built, but conditioned responses that people have to certain subjects that to bring them up in this kind of setting could possibly, not even possibly, almost definitely cause an opposite of what you wanted to happen, where you just end up labeled, you just end up with all these other sets of issues. So thank you, because you did a good job right there of wording that in a way that I couldn't put together, but I had felt, like I said, I initially kind of felt some type of way about that statement or that foul, and you both put it into better words than I ever could. Maybe not ever, but could at the moment. Thank you, Lynette. Go ahead and take the floor.
Yeah, so I run an art studio here in rural Nebraska for the youth, and it is a Christian community, right? Heavily religious. And I'm seeing a lot of kids come in and they're suicidal, they're depressed, they are struggling, and it's weighing very heavy on me. And the past couple days I've had several young people come in, and they are struggling with their identity, and they are gravitating towards the pronouns and this and that, and they want to be called him or they, or I don't even know all the language that is being used today. But I'm really struggling with this because I come from a place where we fought really hard to not have labels. And I still come from that place of why do we want a fucking label on ourselves? And I just really was basically hoping maybe there's something there that I'm not seeing or understanding. I'm trying to, I support these young people, and I'm giving them a place and an outlet to express themselves and be themselves because they can't at home. I know that's why they're in the positions that they're in, where they feel broken, and they're not. And I want to nurture who they are, but I don't know how to do that when I can't identify with wanting the labels. So I don't know if this is a topic you guys have talked about before. I don't listen to the dojos that I'm not at because I feel it's not fair to you, because I wouldn't be witnessing you in my real time. So I apologize if this is, no, I don't apologize. If this is something you guys have talked about in the past, I would like to know some insight on that. And if there's anything you guys can do to help me help these young people, because it's really fucked what's happening out there. And these kids need help. And that's it.
Thanks for bringing that here. And I can respect that. Not watching the ones you're not here for. That's tough to watch. Does anyone have any hope of witness for Lynette? Because honestly, I sympathize with that greatly, and I would be at a loss for what to say.
I could maybe say something because I'm in Nebraska, in Lincoln, and it's it's kind of a legislation that's being pushed really hard without question, kind of in the same way that the whole health measure was, and it comes from the same source. But the fact of the matter is you have to deal with it because it's just, it's just going to be there. They've already once you ask the question, it's too late, so a lot of it's just like Lori has to deal with that with young people because of this group that they committed to like show that they're not racist, and now they're all regretting it, but I think a lot of people are anyway. But they just ask people, how do you feel about your gender, and these are kids in their 20s, a lot of them, and they really do have a question. Just the fact that you ask the question makes them have a question. So there's just no getting around it. So I guess I don't really have an answer, but I just know that it's just something there, and I see it too. I don't really know what to say, but you just have to be, I don't know how Lori does it. She's very patient with it, and somehow she is just able, even when she might think it's a little tedious, but she cares, just caring about people, and I guess slipping in the idea that you can create your own identity and your morality, and getting people to, because I think the main thing is that it's leading people to look outside themselves. And if you can just, it's not very hard to just point out to, like, because they do have questions, but just lead them to look within themselves, just very simple, because it's deceptive, you just kind of go along with the social thing. I don't know, that's what, because I see, I thought I'd chime in. I'm kind of dealing with it too, and so I'll let you know if I figure anything out.
I think that's it. Is like what I'm seeing. These are like 9-year-olds. These are kids. These are kids that are already wanting this label on themselves. That it's like, we all, take this time to just experience and live. Like, why do you feel this need to trap yourself? Like, and I try to express to them, like, you know who you are. It doesn't matter if anyone else can relate to you or know who you know who you are. Why do you want everyone else to label you? But I just didn't know if there's, anyone can think of art projects or ways that, I don't know, that we can kind of just, I don't know, guide these people into, these kids into, I don't know, just really thinking about where this could head. I don't know. It's just a tough situation. I guess I just have a hard time even articulating it because it's just so raw to me. I haven't really gotten to process it all, but it's weighing pretty heavy on me. So
I have to say, I mean, I'm going to jump in just because this has just happened to me. My daughter, who is 35, and she and her best friends from high school are still great friends, and they all got their kids together. And one of her friends said, "So my daughter just said she is a boy. So what does that mean? Does that mean, she's transsexual? Does that mean she's a lesbian? Does that mean that she's, whatever all those labels are?" And and it just broke my heart. And the reason that they're trying to put labels and figure out their children at I'm 57, so we didn't figure out our children. We knew if they were feminine. But I remember in high school, band freaks, jocks, preps, we all had labels. I just kind of like melded between all of those labels. And now these poor children, these 9-year-olds you're talking to, somehow they need some sort of security to belong somewhere, right? And the parents are saying, "Hey, should I label my children because she says one time, I want to be a boy." That's a societal problem, not an individual problem.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think societal issues start on the micro scale. And I think really we're hitting on a subject right here that gets to the heart of why the homeschool group is starting, why this dojo group is starting, why all of what we're doing here is happening. this is at the heart of it, because like we've all seen this coming miles and miles away. And it's just the fact that it's getting to, you know, kids that age. It doesn't surprise me, but it still doesn't stop it from hurting my heart. I have a lot of hands up, and we're getting towards the last third. So if anyone has anything for, please raise your hand. But Elizabeth, go ahead and take the floor.
Well, this topic is maybe so relevant. What I was going to say was I'll just say what I have to say.
Yeah.
I am so grateful that I shared the most shameful, guilt-ridden experience of my entire life to this dojo. So we think there's things we can never share. I never, ever, ever thought I would share what I shared. But I can tell you, it made me so incredibly light. And I am eternally grateful for having had your witness when I shared it. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We're glad to have had it shared here. I think anytime that you feel called to bring something to the group, then if you don't, that's when I'd kind of start to say it was stealing. If it's something that you personally work on and you don't feel called to share it, then I'm not going to tell you you're stealing. I hate that's the whole absolute statement things talked about plenty of times. But if you feel called to share it and you feel a burden on your heart to share something with people, doesn't matter if it's this dojo. I would like it to be in the dojo because I'd like to be there to help if I can, or to gain something from it myself. But yeah, I'll go ahead and let Noam take the floor, my friend. What do you have for us?
So exactly what you were saying about the like you're feeling the fear to share something that you kind of want to share and then you back away. That's exactly the kind of feeling I was having with that self-theft thing. So that's yeah, bingo. But as far as for Lynette, one thing I would recommend is getting a really interesting viewpoint that's helped me a lot is listening to some of the testimonials of people that have detransitioned, because they will tell you a kind of more honest story of us from start to finish of how they were. And especially hearing that start part is very interesting. And just the sense of like, you see this repeated theme of this need for these children at any of these young ages to find something that feels comfortable, that explains why they don't fit in, right? And if they can find this thing, it'll explain why they don't fit in. And I think maybe one way of laying a seed is, you know, kind of mentioning to the kid, like, you know, right now you think this thing is going to help you see who you are, and you're going to try it, and then you're going to feel uncomfortable in it, and then you're going to look for something else. And maybe once they go through it a couple times, having heard that, maybe that's something that would go, you know what, that woman was right. This is like the second time I've done this. And because it's that kind of thing. And there's definitely a societal factor of it as far as the intense amount of propaganda that's through all sorts of levels of social media that I don't even interact with, but I know it's there. But I would recommend those kind of stories. Helena is one that I've listened to recently. That's a very interesting woman that started to transition to male and then went back. I just think you'd find those very enlightening.
Yeah, I think those could definitely be a tool in your tool belt. May not work every time, but if it could even help one, then it's more than worth the shot. Thank you, No. Appreciate that. DMAC, or yeah, go ahead, DMAC.
Shit, can you come back to me? I forgot my point. Forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Completely
you're
forgot.
fine.
I got.
I
I was messing. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go. Charlotta, what do you have for us?
Hey, I have 3 daughters, 12, 16, and 19. And so we've been going through this for years. I mean, this has been a topic in our house probably really strongly the last 2 years, but prior to that 4, I would say. And I talk to my girls about it, they get it, but all of their friends are, it's peer pressure, it's propaganda, it's social media. I mean, it goes back even to Tumblr. It's cool, it's trendy. It's actually cool to have a mental disorder or a what do you call depression? I blanked, but it's cool. You're not in with the crowd if you don't have something that you're super sad about or upset about. And I've had my kids talk about, I had to pick up my fourth grader from school because she told everybody she was going to kill herself. And she thought it was hilarious because we got home and she's like, sweet, I got out of school. Like, I'm going to remember that. I'm like, do you realize that's going to go on your record? And anyway, it's like the norm. It's like, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it seriously. And I know that you're witnessing kids that are really deep down in it. And my middle daughter has gone through a lot of that. But my advice is probably just listen and do not offer a change of mind because they're not going to hear it. They don't want to hear that. They just want a place to spew it so they can process it. And I think the art ideas are great. Like I'm sure there are some really cool things. I like hypnotism and I do that kind of on the side. And there's, getting in touch with, like, maybe meditate, maybe start off an art project with meditation that would segue into, finding some trait that they feel is their strongest trait or something like that. I don't know, but I just wanted you to know that I'm not saying it's not a big deal. It's definitely out there, and some kids, it's sad, suicide. We don't want anybody to lose anyone, but I just feel like so much of it is just attention seeking and trying to find a group to fit into. We all feel like oddballs, right? But anyway, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Charlotta. It's one of the reasons I was hesitant to say anything because I knew what I was like when I was a kid. Didn't matter what an adult told me. I was going to think what I want to think, and it just keeps, like, it's popped into my head like 5 times in the last 10 minutes of our dojo here, that the time when James is like, we're all going to end up living in the woods together, like, and it's kind of a joke. It's kind of not a joke because the influences that are out in our society, they're going to work their way through. We're going to watch some really, really uncomfortable things happen. And yeah, having your peace made with it ahead of time might not be too bad of a thing. I'm not saying don't do everything you can for those kids. And I think the best advice I heard was Charlotta's listen. Witness them as best you can, as present as you can possibly be with them, which I think you're probably already doing, the fact that you're out there in the trenches doing that. So thank you, Charlotta, and thank you, Lynette, for bringing it up. Dee, you want to take the floor, or you gonna pass it on?
Yeah, I'll take it. I just wanted to comment on the situation with the kids, and they don't know whether they're fucking boys or girls or dogs or clouds. They don't know what the fuck's going on. I went to TAFE. I went to trade school in Australia, and it was all ages. We had 18, 19-year-old kids in there for apprenticeships, and we had a 64-year-old. It was all ranges. It was like less than 20 of us in the teens, 13, 15 of us. And I'd drive kids home, like the younger kids and stuff. They didn't have cars, and it's a small town, 5 minutes from everywhere. So I could take 3 people home and drop them off and be home in 10 minutes. Wasn't a problem. And so I'd just give whoever didn't have a ride a ride. And I got to talking with some of the younger guys and stuff, and they like novelty in Australia. And you wouldn't think it because it was metal fab. It was engineering and electrotechnology. So we were going to be engineers and electricians, right? We got our Cert 2s in them. And so I'm thinking that these guys have got some type of, I guess, maturity or direction or something. And they were just these millennial these people didn't know who they were. I asked this one kid, we're riding home, and he was talking about this lesbian girl in our class. We had two lesbian girls. They were best friends. We was a trio, right? And that was one thing that I found a bit odd too. It's like, you know, everybody's kind of, I mean, I'm not knocking gay people. I don't give a fuck what people do. Like, but everybody seemed a bit gay in there. And I'd asked one of the 18-year-olds, I was taking him home one day, and I asked him what he thought about Kirsty. I was just like, yeah, you talk to her a lot. You keen on her? You seem to really like her. And he's just like, oh, nah, she, you know, she's this or that. And I said, well, is she your type? And he says, oh, I've got all types of types. And I said, am I your type? And he goes, yeah, I don't know. And I said, you don't know? I'm driving, right? And I'm just like, are you gay? And he says, I'm on the fence. And I'm like, you're on the fence? And it was so open. You know, it's open. And we talked about it at school the next day. I was talking and I was just like, hey, Steve, you know, what's up with you, bro? Like, are you really gay? And he's talking. And somebody walked by and he heard us, he heard us, and we just carried on the conversation. He did not give a fuck. It wasn't a shame thing to him. He wasn't embarrassed, and I could just see the confusion. And here's the kicker: another kid, Matt, he was dating this girl that was doing a cooking class in the TAFE, and they'd meet every day for lunch and stuff like that. And I was having a talk with him with Kirsty, the same girl that I asked that other duty flight, and he came out, and we was just like, yeah, I gave him shit. I was just like, I didn't even know you were straight. And he's just like, yeah, I get that. And I was just like, what do you mean? I said, are you straight? And he says, I didn't know. And I was like, you didn't know? And he's just like, I guess I'm straight. I'm with a girl, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, bro, you don't know what the fuck you are. Well, how are you so confused? How is everybody in this fucking town so confused about what the fuck they're after and what they like? It just blew my fucking mind. And it was only the kids, like everybody else, other than the two girls. Everybody else had a sense of like what the fuck, you know, they were and what they liked, and you know, they were setting their roles. These are guys, they like guy shit, and the girls, they like guy shit because they were lesbians. And these boys, like not men, just didn't know. And it was the most heartbreaking thing because I liked the kids. I thought they were nice, but then it made me feel weird. Not for them, but just the town, their age, what they're learning in school, who's got influence on them, where are your fucking parents? Where's your dad? Where's your fucking dad? I mean, goddamn, spank the gay out of you at this moment, at this crucial time. You don't know? You know what I'm saying? If you don't know, then you're not gay. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them things you know or you don't. It's not one of them things you kind of wait around and make out in the dark and then you wait for the lights to come on to find out what you are. You know, it's just not a thing like that. It's something that yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to speak on that because I can relate to that. That shit freaks me the fuck out. Really does. Like kids not knowing like their identities. And I don't know none of that shit. LBQPTRD. I don't know none of that shit. And I don't give a fuck about none. Boys are boys, girls are girls. Two genders. Two
I appreciate your witness, D. Yeah, it kind of mystifies me a little bit too, but I don't have kids, so this is all a little new to me as far as the younger generation and how bad it is. But thank you, Brent, for your patience. What do you have for us, my friend? You're muted, Brent.
Oh, there I am. Thank you, Jeremy. Yes, I'm going to comment on the topic that Lynette brought up and Charlotta and so others have commented on. I'm thinking, well, let's see, there's 33 of us here right now, according to the participants list. I'm thinking there's no way 33 of us are going to go out in this world and fix the problem of 100 million confused kids out there right now. I mean, I think it's beyond the scope. Lynette lives it every day. So, I mean, this is something that, of course, that it's foremost for her to deal with. And when she asked, anybody have any suggestions and all of that, I was thinking, well, I don't know. Charlotta brought something up, you know, that my kids, you know, they're not going to listen. Reminded me how difficult that would be. I usually always bring it back to art, and art, of course, for me it's not a noun, it's a verb, it's a process, and that I believe that the role of the artist is to conceptualize concepts, ideas, and bring them into the 3 dimensions for examination, for dramatization, for understanding, for any number of things. And when the dojo homeschool was brought up, I'm thinking, yes, this is what we're doing here. We're a group of artistic-like people who have created this conceptual performance work of art that we call Dojo Earth. And its greatest influence potentially is that we will continue to create and redefine and improve our models of our concepts that are based on new way of looking at things, new in the sense of our times, our lifetimes, and creating a dojo homeschool, creating a dojo film school. These are all places where not only can we influence those that are there personally, but everybody who can look in on it through social media, through the past, in the future, who knows, there could be books and documentaries. This could be like, they could be hailing what we're doing now as like, wow, this group of ragtag people from all over the world answered a call, got together, and they launched a new way of culture and life and way forward in the Aquarian age. And those who wish to, those who are interested in it, they have clear models to see, well, they're just dramatizations, they're models, but they're stepping stones for them to see the alternatives. And it's not the preaching, like Charlotta says, and rightfully so, does not work with kids, telling them what to do. Like D-Mac, he could have told those kids they're assholes, or you better like know tomorrow or yesterday if you're a man or not. I mean, that's what you want to tell them, but that wouldn't have helped. Now, when they look back at the life story of D-Mac and what he went through and how he held his ground and how now that could inspire somebody who's sitting alone at home and studying and thinking and so forth. You said, anyway, I don't need to belabor the point, but I think that we are helping, even though it probably doesn't help Lynette for tomorrow or next week or 2 weeks from now, but maybe she can do that, her own small experimental version of that in her environment. And that's about the only thing I could actually suggest that I know of that I could reach out to, that might be some kind of a good advice. Anyway, back to you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thank you for your wise Jupiterian influence on this Venetian dojo night. Thank you. You said it better than I could. Way better. Lynette, since you're next, if you have anything for Brent or anyone who spoke up, I think there was a lot of hard truths, but also realities we just went over.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for your witness and your input on this. And I just want to clarify for my standpoint, I'm not in the position to change anyone's where they feel that they relate to. I do just want to be there and listen and guide them. But it's just heavy. I have 2 little ones that are in this space, and I've experienced it when my son was 4 years old, being read a children's book that was about a boy that identified as a girl in his preschool class being read. And he happened to have a preschool boy in his class that wore dresses. And this was his friend. And it was his friend until that book was read. And then he came home and he said, "Mommy, my friend is not okay. He's different." And the book was intended to do the opposite. And so I've seen at a very young age where they're doing this to our children, and the confusion and how we're labeling it as, we're putting these labels on it in a way of trying to be accepting of everyone, but it's doing the opposite to these young people, because it's pointing out someone may be different when this little kid is just wearing a dress because he wants to wear a dress. It's not that he's identifying as anything. So I just want to say thanks for everyone's witness and your input. And if, just thank you. Just thank you.
I appreciate you bringing it. And I think there's a lot of truth there. The praise we heap on those as we take them up to the offering, like on the top of the pyramid, like the acceptance that's being preached, supposed acceptance and tolerance. It's literally the verbal praise we give them to make them not understand that they're walking up to be sacrificed. It's tough to watch. But yeah, I think the Dojo homeschool is our long bet. That's our long bet that we got down on the table right now. Thank you. Ava, go ahead. Love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, this is on the same topic. I've went through a lot of personal vitriol saying, lots of hateful things in my kitchen about the trans agenda. I've certainly felt angered that there could be children getting put on hormones and chopping off body parts. And then even the more subtle things have bothered me too. But as you guys talk this out, and I don't know if maybe someone's wrote this in chat, I'm just driving at the moment, so I might be missing, this might be repeated, but I'm just considering the possibility that this is a very natural thing that's happening, and these children are actually developing something they're going to need to thrive in Babylon. And we don't get to see necessarily how that's all going to unfold. I know it's programming. I know they're, to some degree, their minds are being warped in a new direction that we've never seen before. But at the same time, this could be exactly just what they need to survive in their 30s, 40s, 50s in what is being built around us. It could change that drastically. Not to mention there could be some kind of silver lining that we can't even foresee yet, that their minds could be exposed to some level of adaptability later on in life, that like when new rules come out and you have to be this or you have to be that, they actually end up being the people to say, I'm fluid, I can change. You can say I'm a citizen, but I'm not. You can say there's a border here, but guess what? I don't believe in borders. So like I'm just seeing that for myself right now, that man, I've had vitriol with this topic. And time in my early 30s where suddenly like all my female friends went lesbian in order to get work in the film industry, and it worked. They all adapted. They got work because they were now in a minority group. And I had so much vitriol with it, but actually they're the ones who adapted to Babylon and I didn't. So I'm trying to see this from all angles here. That's it.
Thank you, Ava. Thank you. That's a good silver lining that I think a lot of us really appreciate. And honestly, I didn't see anyone other than Noam kind of touched on that in the chat a little bit by saying that, maybe those answers that like the kids Dee was talking about gave were just safe answers in a land of confusing landmines. And that's kind of the same point said in a little different way. So yeah, thank you. And only got a couple of minutes left. And I have Rebecca waiting. Go ahead and please let us know what you're thinking.
Okay, so I have 1% and I plugged it in. So if it goes off, it's not my fault.
No, it is your fault if it goes off. You get that low.
Right. So, I mean, Lynette, I'm thinking, there is no true answer to the question. And Ava, I can give you like 1,000 examples of books I've read that have been bestsellers about a woman who changes from a Christian to an addict to a Christian to a super mom to a lesbian. And every one of those books is the be all and end all. And I've literally gotten in a conversation on their thread about, I call bullshit on this. The rule is, and Lynette, maybe the question is that, you're who you are right now. And Darwin's theory is not about the strongest survive, it's the most adaptable who survive. And so, like Ava said, well, in my experience, you as a human being, you're adaptable, and you're not gay one day, and you're not straight one day, and you're not smart one day, and you're not dumb the next day. There are no labels. You may be dumb today, but that doesn't mean you're going to be dumb tomorrow. Because you feel like a girl today doesn't mean that you're going to feel like a girl tomorrow. So you know what? We're ever changing. And that's what it's all about, is we're adapting. And I think it's brilliant what Ava said, is that this might be part of the plan. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you closing us out. And thank you to everyone. We're coming up on the last minute here. And so I will just, again, thank you all for a great dojo. You all really brought so much to the table, and on a night where I wasn't super high energy. But that's going to be changing. No more Babylon work for me starting after next Monday. So I'm going to have a lot of time to focus on this, join the homeschool group, work on the homestead group, just do all these wonderful things that we are trying to work on as our long game, because there is no quick, simple fix to what we're all going through, to why we're all here. Otherwise, it would have been done. Like, we would have done it a long time ago. And I think that there's a good chance on this long bet, because I think you, just like Ava pointed out, Rebecca pointed out, these kids, they're eventually going to reject it. Like, did you accept anything you were told as a kid, as a teen? You rebelled against it. All right, so I think that's really what we're going to see. And if we can have a small hand in that, I'm fucking for it. So thank you all for a beautiful evening. You can unmute and say goodbye as I put out the ceremonial fire. Feel free to rejoin for an after dojo if anyone would like to speak. I probably won't be able to join you this evening, but you guys can talk amongst yourself, and thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
They
Have a
will
great trip.
rebel.
Thank you guys.
They
Travel.
will rebel.
I
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.